Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chance, and it's time to talk about some board games. Well, okay, today is more of a board game related topic because I'm finally doing another table talk episode. I want to dive into a topic that's been kind of rattling around my brain since a recent session of Clank Legacy 2. So, we had a full group of four, and at one point, a player made an offhand comment of like, oh, if you take that action, I'm definitely going to be in danger. Now, the players whose turn it was replied like, don't worry, like, I'm not a competitive player, I wouldn't do that to you. That kind of stopped me in my tracks because looking at their playstyle, I thought, wait, I actually consider you highly competitive. So it wasn't so much that he was non-competitive, he was non-conflictual. I mentioned that to him and he was just like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, he avoids direct conflict, prefers co-ops, but his drive to play well is still very high. This got me thinking about the spectrum between competitive and being conflictual. So let's define some terms for this video. You might disagree with my labels. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you that these aren't perfect, but since this is a video, you just have to accept them for the next 10 minutes. Or 3 hours, who knows? I tend to ramble. And just to be clear, I'm no longer specifically talking about that player in the intro. Their comment is just what led me down this path of thinking. Now, I'm going to be using the terms competitive player and conflictual player in this video. And I think a better term for these might be the labels used in Carol Dweck's book, Mindset, because competitive and conflictual aren't exactly mutually exclusive personalities. So let's clarify what I mean. For the competitive player, I categorize this player as having a fixed mindset. They link their performance in a game to their actual intelligence or value. If they win, they are smart and worthy. If they lose, well, maybe they aren't. Because the stakes are so high for them, failure can be catastrophic. This mindset tends to be associated with poor emotional control. Failure threatens their self-worth, which can trigger helplessness, anxiety, and defensiveness. Then, for the conflictual player, this would be the growth mindset or a resilient player. Think of it as a person that values the journey more than the outcome. This player views the game as a social playground. They enjoy blocking, attacking, or being attacked because it forces them to pivot and find new strategies. Winning is still fun, but it's not what matters. The growth mindset individual sees setbacks as learning opportunities and is more resilient emotionally. Okay. So we've got our fictional personas defined. Let's take a closer look at the competitive player. So the competitive player tends to prefer co-ops. They want to reduce the direct competition with their peers and eliminate the possibility of failure. Either way, in every game, other behaviors will emerge. This player tends to be prone to analysis paralysis. They tend to need to find the best move, not a good move, the best one, the most optimal one. They must protect their identity as a smart and valuable individual. And if not playing co-ops, they probably prefer low interaction games. Higher social interaction leads to unpredictability, less control. How can they prove they are smart with all that chaos? Other players attacking, or maybe even just those Euro-style interactions of blocking a space or taking a card they need, is now direct competition. One player's self-worth versus another. If an opponent gets the upper hand, is that them saying they're better than me? Superior? Am I dumb for letting that happen? The less interaction a game has, the less direct comparisons the player makes with the others at the table. Now, let's say things aren't going well for this competitive player, and we get the emotional fallout. In my experience, they don't get mad at the other players. They get quiet or dismissive of the game itself. This game is too random. Oh, the strategy in this game is just do this, and that's dumb. Or, you attacked me for no reason, we both lost. Or we even get those fun complaints during the game like, why'd you even go there? It doesn't help you win, that just hurts me. Basically, if everyone was playing optimally, then their strategy would be working. So with this mindset, when they start to believe they're losing, it's not necessarily that they go right to that dark place of asking themselves if they are worthy. They've been doing this so long that they jump straight into protective strategies. They try to find the external reasons for why they aren't winning. It's just unfortunate that these strategies tend to be at the expense of everyone else enjoying the game. Now, let's talk about my fictional conflictual player. With a growth mindset and high emotional control, this player has resilience. They find fun in losing. A massive defeat can be a good story or a lesson in strategy. They can play the game aggressively without believing the other players will judge them negatively. They're the ones that will burn your infrastructure to the ground and then genuinely ask you if you want some more snacks or another drink. They find the social friction and confrontation engaging. When their strategy is ruined, they're able to pivot and find the next interesting thing to do. Winning is fun, but not required for them to have a good time. Their self-worth isn't tied to the outcome of the game. The games are not a competition to see who is smart or who has value. It's a fun way to socialize. Now, there is one downside to this player though. They can get a bit bored playing some games. Being at a table with someone that has AP can be excruciating, or playing a game with zero interaction can feel a bit lifeless. Now, I want to clarify a bit because I think there's another way we can think about this, and it probably provides a better categorization than my imperfect titles of competitive and conflictual. We can use the concept of the magic circle. Now, when people join a game, they're agreeing to participate in this shared fiction. I think that the structure of the magic circle is different for these two players. The competitive player has a porous magic circle. The game stress leaks into real life, whereas the conflictual player has a thick or pretty solid magic circle. They can be a villain, warlord, or thief at the table without it reflecting back on them in real life. Now, to be clear, I'm not talking about this as a judgment on others. I've been there. I'm pulling from that book Mindset because it strongly resonated with me. I grew up with a fixed mindset. I was that competitive player I described above. Back in college, I had a friend that I would play real-time strategy games with on the PC, and we exclusively played co-op versus computer opponents. We avoided that head-to-head conflict. Early in my hobby board gaming, I would have described myself as a co-op or mostly Euro-style board gamer. If you listen to my Top 100 series, then you may be like, what? That's definitely not you today. So now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying it's bad to like multiplayer solitaire games or low interaction Euros. It's not bad for co-ops over area control. Preferences are good. And those games create their own types of social experiences. Some people enjoy doing those Euro puzzles and then doing a post-game analysis with their group. Co-op games can lead to wonderful moments of collaboration and coordination with a close group of friends. If you prefer those games, then that's great. You found what brings you joy and brings you closer to others. But if you play those games out of avoidance of more conflictual games, of higher interaction games, if you play those games because you are the competitive gamer that I describe and that I was, then that may be a problem. I recall a specific game of Scythe, that the game was nearing the end and I knew the best move for my opponent was for them to attack an opening that I stupidly left for them. Note the negative self-judgment there. I remember that feeling of fight or flight. I remember being stressed and starting to shake. My emotional response to that situation reminded me of when I was going to give a presentation in college and I was terrified of public speaking. This is the experience that changed me. I think there were two paths ahead of me after that game. I could have said, that was awful. I don't want to experience those emotions, and I'll avoid those types of games. The other path is a bit more introspective. Why did I have that response? Why did this game affect me in that way? Why did I care so much that I felt like I was in danger? Look, I'm not a saint. I did choose that second path, but it wasn't because I reached enlightenment or something. I've had some struggles in my life. I mean, haven't we all? I've had financial struggles, health struggles, family struggles. Just some tough times. I've struggled with anxiety and depression. I've had at least one panic attack. But, I've been fortunate. I've had good friends throughout my life. I've had access to counseling and therapy. Still in therapy today. I've done a lot of meditation and yoga in the past. All of that led me to being able to look back at that game of Scythe and say, I felt stressed and was suffering. Was that suffering necessary? So instead of retreating from those emotions, I decided to confront them. These emotions aren't good or bad, they're just emotions. They are reactions to events. More importantly, these specific emotions were reactions to events in a fictional world created by the magic circle of the game I was playing. But my magic circle was porous. Those reactions and emotions leaked through that magic circle and reflected back onto my identity. They challenged my perceived value. Once I made the conscious effort to note and identify this, I was able to build a stronger wall for that magic circle. I was able to explore more types of games, and I was able to engage in trying to be the villain or an aggressive player. I was able to have fun and discover that I love those games with higher social interaction. So now my gaming preferences have definitely changed. I can play a game without getting emotionally triggered. Okay, most of the time. Look, I'm not perfect, just very damn close to it. That was a joke, so maybe I can put up like an audience laugh sign or something like they do in the live show so you guys know that was a joke. Moving on. Okay, so this leads me to the point of this video. A challenge to the viewer. It's the start of the new year, and after all, people are setting new goals for themselves, so why not? So, are you the type that only prefers co-ops and friendly interaction games? Why is that? Do you identify with my description of the competitive gamer? If so, then I challenge you to explore that. Are you a co-op gamer because you want to avoid those emotions? If the preference is based on avoidance, then maybe that is something worth working on. As I've learned in couples counseling, avoiding conflict and difficult emotions tends to be an unhealthy approach to life. It's totally fine if you're still just like, I prefer low interaction or co-op games. I just think it's an important difference between preferring that style of game because that is what you genuinely enjoy versus preferring those games out of avoidance of difficult emotions. Now, I've got my own challenge this year, which I think is related to this topic. I tend to take the role of a peacekeeper, being that player that's trying to manage other people's emotions. This is especially difficult when playing with a competitive player that has that emotional turmoil. Then the peacekeeper kind of wants to get the game over with to help them out. They want to avoid targeting that player because they see them starting to, crack. The peacekeeper wants everyone to get along and have fun. I probably take on this role because I teach a lot of games and I teach them because I'm looking forward to playing them. And, I want other people to enjoy the games I've selected. But, I've kind of discovered that trying to manage other people's emotions is exhausting and doesn't necessarily lead to better outcomes. So my goal may be a bit selfish, but it's really to just let that player spiral. I'll maintain my magic circle and play the game how I want to play it. Enjoy the game as intended. I'm not forcing anyone to join my game night, so I'm starting to accept that their emotional response is up to them, and they can make their own decision if they want to continue joining my game nights. I'm not saying I'm going to be outright hostile, I'm just saying that I'll do my best to teach the game and provide a good experience. So I'll focus on those things that I can control and not the things I can't, like other players' emotions. Okay, so that was a minor tangent. I felt like that it was still related to the main topic of the video, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you the kind of competitive player that I described in this video like I was? Or are you the emotionally stable saint of a conflictual player with a growth mindset? What's your response to a conflictual game? Maybe just, yeah, not my jam. Or is it more fight or flight, stress-induced panic? Or let me know if you think I'm wrong on any of this or if I missed something important. That's going to do it for today. So I hope you enjoyed my musings on this topic. I could have gone on for a long time about this because this analysis is very incomplete and not perfect. It's just one of those topics that gets stuck in my head and I want to talk about. So thanks for watching and thanks for spending your time with me. I always appreciate it and talk to you next time.